Talk a little bit more about some of those labels. They're becoming very popular as selling items for foods. What is the difference between organic, non-GMO, which is showing up everywhere on labels, and all natural?
Okay.
You see those everywhere, and they're big marketing ploys.
Absolutely. We'll start with all natural because that's really an easy one. And I implore everybody that's watching this video to go into YouTube and in the search box put in the natural effect. And you will get the Organic Consumers Association's little video on natural. And what it's basically telling you, which I'll tell you in a little bit less words, but they're more fun, is that in the United States, as of today, unlike Europe, the word natural has zero legislation. In other words, there is nothing that they can't put in the product and still label it 100% natural. So forget about natural. Natural is totally meaningless. And I joke in my class and I go, natural, let me list for you a couple things that are natural. Rattlesnake venom, arsenic, lead, mercury, those are all natural. And they are. They come from the earth. We didn't manufacture them. But what's more important is that they can put natural on anything that they want to. So natural means absolutely nothing. Disregard the word. If it's on something, make believe it wasn't on there. Cross it out in your mind. It's not really there because it doesn't tell you anything. It tells you what some of my friends years ago used to say. It tells you bupkis. So non-GMO. GMO is genetically modified organisms. And if something is certified non-GMO, so some agency actually is testing it, that means that none of the substances that were fed to this, if it happens to be an animal, fish, or bird, or the substance itself, if it happens to be a plant, it's not allowed to be a genetically modified thing. So if it's beef or lamb or chicken or duck or fish, it could not have been fed any genetically modified foods. If it's a vegetable or fruit, then it itself could not have been genetically modified. That doesn't mean that it's healthy for you. That doesn't mean that it was raised well. That doesn't mean that it was fertilized correctly. That doesn't mean that it wasn't sprayed with all sorts of garbage. It just means that it wasn't fed any GMO substances, and it itself is not a GMO substance. Okay, now the last one is organic. Organic means that it meets the federal organic standards, depending on what the organic certification is. So if it says USDA organic, that's 100% organic. That means that it was grown, and when I say grown, I'm not differentiating between a plant being grown that way or an animal or a bird or fish being grown that way. Although fish we don't register that way because there's no such thing as an organic fish. You don't know what the fish are eating. I mean, for that we want wild caught or farm raised, and you always want wild caught because you have no idea what kind of crap they're putting in the farm raised. But the organic means that the only things that are allowed to be given to that to eat, whether it's eating it as a plant, eating it as a bird, or eating it as a big animal, are things that must be approved for organic. However, that doesn't mean that the organic food that is being fed is what that particular thing is supposed to eat. So let's give you an example. Let's take beef and lamb. So if you have beef and lamb, their proper diet is to be outside grazing on grass and weeds. That's what they eat. They are 100% herbivores. We are omnivores. We can eat everything. They are herbivores, and that's all they're supposed to eat. And if they eat 100% grass from the time they're born until the time they are turned into food for us, then that's called either 100% grass-fed birth to death or grass-fed and grass-finished. Because if it just says grass-fed, then the last 90 days they could be giving them a whole bunch of garbage they shouldn't be eating, because that's the finishing portion. So you want grass-fed and grass-finished or grass-fed birth to death. But let's say that we instead have 3 fields, 3 big pastures with chain link fences in between them. And over here on my left, your right, we have cattle and sheep, and all they're eating is grass and weeds. And somebody has come out, tested the soil, and certified it organic. Nobody sprayed anything on it. So we've got organic, grass-fed birth to death. Over here, matter of fact, we'll make it 4 fields instead of 3. Over here, we have also totally grass, and it's not certified organic, and therefore we don't know what kind of things might be, sprayed on it. But generally, they have no reason to spray for weeds because the cattle are going to eat the weeds.
Yeah.
So if it's not organic, it might still be totally fine. Sometimes they use some fertilizer that isn't organic to make the weeds grow better, the grass grows better, to give them more. Okay, that's still not that bad. Now over here, we have grass-fed, but they want to get them fat much faster at the end. So 90 days before slaughter, they get brought over to a finishing lot that has no grass, no weeds, just big troughs full of organic corn, organic rice, organic rye, organic soybeans. And the place they were grazing was certified organic. And then the last ones, all they're eating is that stuff that these are finishing with. So those people is not something you ever want to eat. This one over here is able to be labeled organic because the plot of land they were on was organic, and the 90 days of eating corn and soy and everything else to get them much fatter, much faster for the last 3 months is organic. So they're allowed to be called organic, and all the fats in that animal are the ones that are inflammatory and are going to hurt you because they were eating organic but the wrong food. Here we've got the ones that were not organic, but all they're eating is grass from birth to death. And so those are pretty healthy. Here somebody actually went the extra step and made sure the property was certified organic. So if you go into a store, and you know, in my area we have Jimbo's, Whole Foods, Ocean Beach Peoples, and I'm not singling anybody out. There are lots of others around the country. And let's say you go into one of these stores and you go over to the meat department and you see something that says organic beef, and you don't know to ask a question. And so you buy it and you bring it home and you eat it, and then your neighbor comes over and hey, we've got extra. We're just getting ready to sit down. Would you like to join us? Well, I'm real picky. Oh no, it's organic beef. Is it grass fed? Oh, I don't know what it was fed. Well, if it's just organic, I don't want it. Well, what do you mean? It's organic. Isn't there? What's better than organic? Right. And now this person has to get educated that if you feed it organic food, that species would never eat in the wild, and that's inflammatory to the species, and that causes all the wrong kinds of fats to develop in its tissues, then it's certified organic and it isn't good for you. So we got all these different levels. So I try to get, whenever possible, grass-fed birth to death. And if I can get it organic also, that's great. But if I have a choice between organic and grass-fed not organic, I'll take the grass-fed immediately because grass-fed has the right kinds of fats in it. If I have organic only, I know it's all wrong. It's being fed the wrong stuff. It has to be grass-fed and organic. So they all have all these little differences that people don't understand.